All right, guys, we are back here again with my girl Nilem
Hello.
with another episode of Coffee Talk, bridging generations X and what's your generation?
Millennial.
Millennials. I always want to say Centennials, but that was Millennials.
It took me a while to get that one too,
Okay, because
so
I haven't heard before. Every time you say, I'm like, oh, I like that's so cool. That's so cool.
yes.
Anyways, before we get started, I will remind you who I am and what I do. I am Dr. Lewis, co-founder of United Works, and United Works is a 501c3 ministry that where we teach students, we life coach, we work with women in ministry and also men. So if you want to know more about us, please check us out at www.unitedworks.org. I hear my husband say, you don't have to say www. Okay, unitedworks.org. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe us and comment on our YouTube channel so that we can get the message out on what we do and how much we love to have, especially Neela and I love to have fun. So make sure that you go ahead and like and subscribe and share. So, all right. So as you guys know, I'm about to embarrass Neela. So you wonderful guys, get your eyes open wide. Neelam is a single woman. Isn't she beautiful? She is so beautiful. Smile big, Neelam. Smile
Thank
big.
you.
And like my grandma said, and her teeth are straight too. She has straight teeth straight. So, anyways, I want to dive into a topic that again I know what my generation thought because I was part of this part. I don't know what Neelam's generation thinks about this. Neelam, so I know you're not married, and someday you aspire to get married. You're not dating anybody either, right? Okay.
Hmm.
So, Neelam, do you think that there is such a thing as the perfect match?
Oh my gosh, this is so good. I actually just talked about it with my sister, I think last week. Oh gosh, I do think that it exists. Um,
Okay.
I it's because there's like two sides. I've heard conversations where people are like, "Well, I think God gives you the options and you choose." And then there's people that are like, I think God has like the person for you. And they say yes to both. Because yes, it's not like light is gonna shine upon that person and it's gonna be like love at first sight, or just like to click right away. But I do think that if the Lord is giving you guys like a calling, it should, and He is the one who's like writing your story. It should be someone who aligns with you and who can walk alongside you. And that as a woman you can be the helper and be guided by him. But I do think that it's also like not closing yourself off to like, oh, this guy doesn't do this or this guy doesn't meet this characteristics that I have. But the Lord does give options, but it's also you have to look and make sure that it's someone who is aligned with what you God is calling both of you to do.
So is that what God's calling him to do, or do you really believe both of you to do?
Both, both,
Okay.
or at least the girl to be open because I do think like the husband should be like the head and wherever God is leading him, he should go along with his family. But I do think that the girl, maybe she's not called to it for her to be open to whatever the calling is.
Okay. So do you think your generation in particular believes that there's a soulmate out there, one person?
I think so. I think a lot of my friends, single girls, believe that. The boys, I am not so sure. I've heard like mixed things, but most of them they're like, it's because you girls have like such high expectations, and it's like yes and no. I mean, it's not, he doesn't have to be perfect, but at least someone who's willing to be a leader and it's a kind of more assertive in the relationship than for the girl. Because I feel like the older we get as women, the more independent and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we learn to be more controlling of our
Mm-hmm.
and learning to give that up is
Mm-hmm.
it's not easy.
It's not easy at all because I got married older and I definitely know that's the truth. And I would have known that. It's funny you talk about the guys, Neelan, because I actually grew up with all sisters. I had a brother, but he was a lot younger. So I say he's more like, he's like one of the girls because he was so much younger.
Mm,
I mean, really young, like 4 or 5 years younger than me. So I didn't realize how different men are compared to women. And so I had a
mm,
guy friend one time, Christian one. He says, Chriselle, he says, we don't think about if you're the one. We think about how hot your body is. That's what we think about. We don't care about your ministry
oh
calling. We don't
gosh.
care about, how we care about what you look like. And I'm like,
Mm,
but that is so unspiritual. But he said, it's the truth. He's like, that's the difference between men and women. He's like, but most of them,
mm,
most men won't tell you that because just like you just said, oh, that's so not right. Most of them won't tell us that, and nobody would tell me that except this guy because he was a friend. He did, we were just friends. He's like,
mm,
I'm gonna tell you, this is what guys look for, not what you girls are talking about,
mm,
what type of thing. And I was like, okay, whatever, fine. So, so I'm like, I disagree with you, but after probably like a few years later, I'm thinking that I probably agree that typically men think first with their eyes and then second with their hearts. And also that you're talking about. And we think opposite. We think first with our hearts
mm.
and then second with our eyes, which is why we can like these, you got these beautiful girls with these ugly guys. Like, I don't know if you know who Beyonce is. No offense, but the person who she's married to, in my mind, is not that attractive.
No, no,
But
no,
she's a
no.
very pretty girl. And I'm like, but yet she has this, because again, it's the opposite. Where she's
Hmm.
leading with her heart, he's leading with his eyes, and then here we are with, marriage. And so I think for a Christian girl, I don't think it's different for Christians. I really don't. I think that that's the thing
Mm-mm.
where Christians are the same on that. So what do I think about the soulmate thing? I think my generation will say absolutely the same thing that you just said. Yes, there's a soulmate. But the problem is, Neelam, is where you have two girls think the same guy, the same soulmate. And that's happened several times. So I'm like, how can I be a soulmate to this person and then you be a soulmate? Does that mean God's confused?
Yeah.
So I think
God didn't get it right.
that happens, especially in the Christian colleges, which is where I went at for my undergrad, where a lot of girls were like, the Lord told me he's the one. But then like
Oh Lord.
some else would say, the Lord told me he's the one. Like it's just like, and then it's been 5 years, 4 years, and the guy's like, God didn't tell me anything. But it always seems like it always seems like it's the girl saying that God has told her, which I think is actually
Mm,
reverse. I think if it was anybody telling that God should tell the man, like you just said,
yes.
first because
Yes.
he is the one leading the he'll be the one leading the family. So I think it had
Mm,
reverse. But I actually think our generations are the same on that, and I think because I think honestly, Neelam, that we as women love to love, and so we want to put all of this ethereal, this stuff in it that I think is true, but I also think as I've gotten older that there's more than one perfect mate. And that's not because I don't love my husband. That's not at all. It's not the reason why. But I believe that just it's for the reason that you just said that God gives us humans choices. So if let's say that he said that, okay, my husband, what's his name is Kilrain. Kilrain's the perfect one for you, and I'm like, oh, Kilrain who? I like Larry Boo, and I went to go meet Larry Boo. Then Larry Boo become the perfect match for me, even though God may have wanted the one to be Kilrain. Because again, that's what I think. I think that we have choices as humans, and God wouldn't just say,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to make you do something. That's not his character. So I would say in the romantic side of it, I would love to say there's only one perfect one. But I think in reality, I think there could be multiple ones, and that God allows
Mm,
us to choose. Like you talk about, could you talk about the helper? I heard you say about a helper. I was reading this book. I guess it's a plug. This is a book called God's Heart for Women, Empowering Women
mm,
to Enter His Call in Life Ministry. My best friend gave it to me for Christmas, I think it was. And so I read it, and one thing she was basically talking about women and how God has called us to. But one thing she was talking about in the beginning, how when God made Eve, that word helper means that she's suitable, meaning that she is equal to Him. Doesn't mean that she's under His feet. And I think that's where the soulmate part comes in, where you have
mm,
you have to be able to not just be like you have to be able to match his calling. So if he has a high calling, whatever that is, then you're going to be able to match it. I think that's where your soul meeting to I think means together the
mm-hmm.
perfect one. Because let's say
Yes.
if God calls your husband to be, let's just say, Neil, he calls your husband to be the president of a large company. You're like, I don't want to do that. I just want to be at home and I want to bake and I don't want to be by the end of those good people. He'd be like, well, but I need you by my side. I need you to help me do this. And he's like,
Mm,
you're not equally matched. And I think that's what you're talking about. where the soulmate part comes in, where it
Yes.
helps you to do what God has called you both to do on this earth. And so, anyways, and so that's what I think. Do you think that your soulmate is a particular race, Neelam? I'm going to ask you a question, Neelam. Is he a particular race, or do you not care?
I really do not care. Like, have, I do have like a preference, but it's not like, oh, they have to be like, he has to be Mexican or he has to be from the States or he has to be Canadian. I do think it has to be someone who's kind of, in a way, experienced what we've had because even though we grew up in Mexico, we grew up with people from different countries. With like my best friend, she's Korean, so maybe
Oh,
someone
cool.
yeah, someone who's not, who's been like exposed to other cultures because I've had friends really like some of my best friends from church and they're Christian and they're Mexican and one day we took them to like Korean barbecue and they started making these like jokes and I didn't really like, for
Yeah,
me it was like that's offensive, like you don't say that and you don't do that,
yeah.
and they were just having fun, but it's just some to understand each other a little bit better or share those experiences, kind of like a like share kind of like similar experiences in how we view the world in in the sense of like different cultures. Like for example, with my brother and his wife, her family was missionary in England,
Oh, cool.
and so she kind of knows like what it is to kind of get used to another culture. So it was easier for them to kind of like get along than if he had married someone who was completely Mexican or who was completely like American. Um, so yeah, I think I don't have a preference, but it's to someone who is like open, a little more open-minded in that sense of like worldview.
I love how you said that. And actually, my best friend is I don't even know her. Her name is Charlene. Hi, Charlene. So her dad is Mexican. He's a pastor. Her mom is Canadian. But
Mm,
if you look at her, you think she's
mm,
white. We've been best friends since college. So
wow.
30, so much so that my son calls her Aunt Charlene. And so I definitely understand that. That when you have deep relationships with other cultures, then you're open sometimes also to romantic relationships with other cultures. I think it also helps because you realize we're all just human and we may have different cultural they call it norms, cultural things that we do, but we're still just human,
Mm,
and our baseline needs love. And it says, and first to me, first of like my mom always told me that the first thing is that he's a Christian. And then if you have different cultures, you can work with them, as you choose. So I'm glad to hear that because I'm looking for you, Neelam. I'm looking for that guy for you. I'm looking for you.
well, thank
So,
you.
anyways,
I
so
appreciate it.
everybody is right. That's the one thing I don't miss about being single. Like, I got the perfect guy for you. You're like, I didn't ask you to. I didn't ask you. I'm just fine.
Right now, I'm
Anyways,
just like, if whoever, Lord, use whoever you want. I'm open.
are you
But yeah.
are you open to have lots of children? Like, do you think that's my next topic? Do you think it's okay for Christians to use contraceptives? Since you're
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. I feel like I'm right in the middle because I do think that sometimes we can think we're God and trying to control that. I've had like people like testimonies of friends who they took contraceptives because they didn't want to have kids like before, but then when they did want, they couldn't.
I couldn't.
So it was like for her and her experience, she was like, it was God telling me like, you are not me. And I
Yeah,
decide
yeah.
when I give life. So that I do love kids. I do want a big family. But I really like it's in my heart to adopt.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so I want both like my own kids and be able to adopt. But yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know what my generation thinks about this because again, I think we're the hiding generation. So I don't know. I mean, I know if my friends were Catholic, they would say absolutely not. No, but
Mm,
my friends who were mostly Pentecostals, I don't know what they thought about it. And actually, I didn't have, Neelam, I don't know what world I lived in, but I didn't have a thought about it either. I didn't think about it, but now that I only have one child and he's about to
mm,
graduate, I always wondered, did I stop God? I don't think I did, but
mm,
it does mean, like you said, I was open to life, but I think I didn't think really hard about it. Like not the way I think about it now. And so I think if I was to give advice to someone younger, I would think about, like you said, how are you are you playing God with your body? Are you allowing God
Mm,
to produce fruit like the Bible says? Or are you just like saying, I'm gonna control this, I don't know. Again, I don't know because I didn't think about it very hard. But I do
mm,
know that it seems like nowadays young women are like, this is my body, I do what I please with it. And that includes birth control pills or whatever else, they use to keep babies or whatever in heaven. But I was
yeah.
listening to a Catholic podcast. I'm not Catholic, but Catholics have very interesting point of views about things. And so
Mm,
I really heard in one of the statements that lady said about being open to life, and she explained that to me. She explained that to the audience. I'm like, that makes sense. I can see why Catholics would say that contraceptives are wrong. I'm like, because I can see that. So I'm like, yes, we all should be open to life, right? That's what we. If we get married, we're saying we're open to life. And so I think I'll leave it at that because I don't think it's a black and white issue because women do
mm,
different things for different reasons, but I think again back to our own personal relationship with God, He guides us on those things. And when you get married to
mm.
that wonderful guy, whoever he is, I know God will guide you. But I think it's really cool that you would love to adopt. There's so many kids out there that needs a good mom, and I think because
Yeah.
I am a teacher, I was a teacher, I guess I'll always be a teacher, and I know there's lots of kids who need love. I think
Mm.
a lot of people are not open to adoption that are Christians, and that's a whole other topic. But I think that you are. I'm really blessed to know that. So this was fun,
Mm.
Neelan. So guys, do not put a comment that you want to have a date with Neelan because me and her sisters and her dad and all her friends are gonna vet you before. So don't even say anything, okay? All right, guys. And actually, guys, you should listen to this anyways. This is a girl's podcast. So why are you listening, guys? Don't listen. Okay. Thank you again for joining Neelam and I on our podcast. And I am Chriselle, the Gen X, and you are Neelam,
The
the
millennial.
Millennial. Bye, guys. See you next time.
Bye.